Italy is notoriously beautiful and a popular place for travelers to visit because it offers a peek into the old world in the most charming and romantic of ways. In Italy, it's impossible to ignore the Roman ruins, winding cobblestone streets with adorable florally adorned terraces. If you've never been to Italy, it's easy to romanticize what you will find on your visit. While most of the stereotypes do ring true in some respect, we're going to also bust some of the more blanketed myths of Italian culture. Myth 1. All Italians are loud. If you don't anger them, they're usually pretty quiet. All joking aside, most Italian people are seen making adverse, so they are often soft-spoken. The goal of most Italian people is to fit in where possible and keep a low profile. You'll rarely hear a local complaining at a restaurant or making a scene at a shop. It's just not part of the culture, no matter how hot-headed they tend to be portrayed in pop culture. The loudest you will ever find an Italian is around the lunch or dinner table with their family. In that case, wine is flowing and festive spirits are high. Since local gatherings tend to be quite large, it is easy for the volume to increase a few notches. Myth 2. Spaghetti and meatballs. It's just not done in the motherland. It is rather an invention of the immigrants who arrived in the USA from 1880 to 1920. In Italy, meatballs are called polpettes and are a standalone dish served as the seconda, where the spaghetti would be reserved for the primo piatto. The polpettes are usually no larger than a golf ball and can be made of anything from turkey to fish and are often covered with a savory yet simple sauce. You will not find giant meatballs smothered in cheese on top of pasta in a proper Italian kitchen unless it is a tourist trap establishment. Myth 3. Pickpockets will steal everything you love. Pickpockets are a thing in Europe, it's true. A number of travel websites are right to advise you to take precautionary measures, from avoiding train stations at night to stuffing cash in various compartments of your bags. Another way to avoid this altogether is by doing your best to behave like a local. As long as you're not oblivious or dripping in diamonds, the odds of someone picking your pocket are slim. If you're feeling nervous about it, avoid touristy hubs and attractions to diminish the odds even more. Myth 4. Everyone in Italy is really dark and hairy. This is just straight up false. The people of Italy, much to the shock of many, are not all toting thick upper lip caterpillars and screaming across the street with their flailing hairy arms. Those from the northern and far south regions have been known to have golden blonde hair and light eyes. You can even spot gingers who look more like Vikings walking about speaking fluent Italian because, well, they are Italian. Due to the close proximities to many fairer nations and historical immigration of Nordic people, you will find lighter and fairer people than the stereotypical portrait would lead you to believe. Myth 5. Everyone in Italy smokes. In the past, they were known for the dirty habit and often portrayed in pop culture as such. The truth is, since 2005, Italy placed a ban on public smoking, which has greatly reduced the number of smokers, even if 20% of the population hasn't been able to kick the habit. Even with these recent laws, smoking isn't as stigmatized as some places like, say, Boston or Toronto, so there aren't clear-cut boundaries where smoking people must stay. It may seem to the untrained eye that everyone is smoking, but realistically they are just scattered around and visibly not ashamed of their habit. Myth 6. All Italians speak Italian. Yes, and no. It wasn't until recently that Italian was spoken all over Italy. Until the 1960s, most Italians spoke their own dialect as first language. Even today, many Italians are bilingual, especially in the south and in the regions next to the borders, where German and French are also spoken. Almost every town in the country features a specific variant of the local dialect, and Italians can easily spot the origin of people by their accent. No one knows how many dialects there are in Italy, particularly because dialects vary slightly even from village to village. Myth 7. Italy is a Christian country. No. Although Italy is one of the countries where it all started, today the country is a mixture of materialism, superstition, and traditional religiosity. Consider that only 25 to 30% of Italians attend a church at least once a year. Only 2% are evangelical Christians. Italians spend more than $8 billion a year in fortune tellers, witches, healers, and the like. Myth 8. Italians love to eat. Absolutely. But it's not so much about quantity as it is about quality. Eating is a social event in itself, a time during which relationships of any kind are strengthened. That's why lunch or dinner can last for hours, and that's why the restaurant will not send you off if you are still talking. Tips are not required nor expected, only appreciated, and there is no fixed fee. Myth 9. Italians drive like crazy. Yes and no. It depends a lot on the city you are in, but there are 55.6 deaths on the roads for every million of inhabitants compared to 51.2 in France and 51.0 of the EU average. Not too bad. Italians drive small cars for a reason. The roads are often narrow, parking space can be a problem, and fuel costs around 4 times more than in the USA. Myth 10. Italians don't pay taxes. Yes and no. In the past, many Italians simply didn't pay taxes. While this is true for part of the country today, in truth Italy has one of the highest tax rates in the world. The government gets 43.5% of the national GDP. In the USA it's more like 26.9%. So what do you know about Italy? Have you believed these before? I think all the myths are solved.